Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here with part 2 of multiplying and dividing of integers review. One of the things we had to do in this section was find pairs of integers that add to a certain number and multiply to a certain number. So if we look at this first example, we want a pair of integers, pair meaning 2, right? That add to negative 20 and multiply to positive 36. Some people will just use their mental math to get it. But if you're not able to think of it mentally, make a little chart like this. Now what's key here is to guess the product first. Product meaning the answer to a multiplication question. So we want two integers that multiply to 36 and two integers that add to negative 20. Now, you don't just want to randomly guess, you want to put some thought into it. First of all, the fact that the product has to be positive tells us that both integers will have to be negative or both integers will have to be positive. But the fact that they add to a negative number means that both integers will have to be negative. So that narrows down our options. So I'm going to do the wrong answer first. I'm going to say, you know what, I know negative 9 multiplied by negative 4 is positive 36. However, negative 9 plus negative 4, 9 negatives and 4 negatives, add to negative 13. So that's not the right answer. So I could go through a bunch of those products, and there's only a limited number that will multiply to 36. Hopefully you'll eventually get to negative 2 and negative 18. Those multiply to positive 36, and negative 2 plus negative 18 adds to negative 20. So that's our pair of integers, negative 2 and negative 18. Negative 2, negative 18. Okay, and let's look at another one here. Two integers that add to 1 and multiply to negative 20. Well, again, some people those lucky people, they'll just use their mental math and it just appears to them. But some of us might need to organize some guesses. So again, start with the product first. Think of numbers that multiply first. Product to negative 20. Now the fact that it's negative 20 tells me the integers will have to be different signs. Now these integers are going to have to add to positive 1. So they're going to have to be one positive and one negative, but because the sum is going to be positive 1, I'm going to have more positives. Okay, so maybe I'll guess negative 2 times positive 10. I know that's negative 20. But negative 2 plus 10 is positive 8. So not the correct answer. So what I'll eventually come down to is, what about positive 5 and negative 4? That multiplies to negative 20. And 5 plus negative 4, the signs are different, so I subtract. And since I have more positives, the answer is positive 1. So the two integers that add to 1 and multiply to negative 20 are 5 and negative 4. Okay, so you got to know things like that for your test. And then finally, you have to be able to do a little bit of work with some integers for problem solving. Now it says a submarine took 8 minutes to dive 48 meters below the surface. How far did it dive per minute? Represent this situation with an integer statement and solve. Well, okay, how far did it dive per minute? So I know that it dove 48 meters in 8 minutes. And I want to know how far it's going to dive per 1 minute. Okay, so to go from 8 minutes to 1 minute, I would divide by 8. Now, since this is a dive going down, I might call the 48 just to to make it clear that we're dealing with a negative integer, I might call that 48, negative 48. So I would do negative 48 divided by 8, and that would give me negative 6 meters per minute. So that's how I would represent that situation with an integer statement and solve. Negative 48 divided by positive 8. And then how far does it dive per minute? It dives, it's not a very good it. It dove 6 meters per minute. Okay. Now the last question we want to be able to do is an average question, calculating the average. So we did a couple of these in class. The temperature over 5 days was -5, -7, +1, 0, and -4, all in degrees Celsius. What was the average temperature over these days? Well, the average means you're going to want to find the middle, one of the measures of the middle, and one of the measures of the middle is average. That can also be referred to as the mean. And that's one of the ways we find the middle of a set of data. Now, the way we do that is we add up all our pieces of data, so -5 plus -7 plus 1 plus 0. Even though it's 0, it's one of our pieces of data, plus -4. And we want to total that up and divide that total by the number of pieces of data, which is 5. Now, a lot of kids want to do this, but that just means take -4 and divide by 5. We want to do the total. The way we do the total is we make a fraction, and we're going to divide that by 5. Now, let's add up those integers on the top. I know that -5 and -7 combine to give -12. Plus a +1 is -11, plus 0 is -11, and -11 plus -4 makes -15. That's going to work out to -15 divided by +5. And that means the average is going to be -3 degrees Celsius. That's the average temperature over those 5 days. The average was -3 degrees Celsius. Period. So those are a couple of word problems with integers. You've got to know how to find pairs of integers that satisfy a certain sum and product. You've got to be able to divide integers. You've got to be able to multiply integers. And you have to be able to explain or prove why certain integer solutions are the way they are. I hope that helps. Make sure you watch these review videos and then do the pretest. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber out.